hard enough losing someone you love, but no person should have to lose a child or report them missing.
Two Mid-Missouri groups celebrated the National Day of Remembrance a few days early by hosting a picnic to honor their loved ones. KOMU 8's Sarah McDowell is live in the studio to tell us how they honored them. And now for a different kind of story, the story of one very brave survivor. What was supposed to be a small, quiet gathering at Centralia City Park turned into, well, a loud one. In the video you're seeing right now, 60 or so charity bikers, led by a police escort, showed up to support Emily Dubes, a 10-year-old survivor of sexual assault. Her stepfather, Hugh Anders, says Emily felt alone during her recovery, so he set up the get-together to show her that she's valued and supported.
Basically, feeling me being me again. Being the happiest little girl I am.
After the parade, the bikers lined up to meet Emily and even signed a banner for her. Taking flight, that's the opportunity some veterans had at this weekend's Lake of the Ozarks Air Show. The goal of the show, now in its 7th year, is to salute veterans. It featured numerous static displays and acts from the air. Some veterans from World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam War were those invited to fly.
So we take a number of veterans. In fact, one of the flights was a flyover at the Camdenton High School football game last night. The air show will return next year, but from then on, it will occur every other year. It's sure hot out there for those Tiger fans. Let's check in with Matt for the weather. As Auburn and Mizzou face off today, an organization aims to unite Tigers on and off the field. But the start of this new partnership is nothing new. How Mizzou has been helping Tigers for almost 2 decades.
Plus, what Missouri State's treasurer is doing to increase college savings. That's coming up after the break.
Looks good. Looking more like fall, too.
Finally. I wore the orange tie today to help bring fall in.
Nice day. Thanks, Matt. Today is a big day. It's Auburn football's first trip to Furrow Field. But it's certainly not the last. A preview of tonight's game, that's coming up in sports.
Missouri State Treasurer wants to increase awareness when it comes to saving for college. Missouri is one of the lowest enrollment rates at 2.5% when it comes to the 529 college savings plan. Missouri's most 529 college savings plan lets parents save for their college education while also saving money on taxes. State Treasurer Eric Schmidt says he's been visiting schools to teach about college savings as part of his initiative. He says Missouri has one of the more generous deductions in the country.
Meaning, if you put $1,000 away or $2,000 away over the course of a year, whatever that amount is, up to $16,000 for a married couple or $8,000 individually, you can deduct those contributions from your gross income and your taxes, your state taxes.
Since he took office in January, Missouri's most 529 college savings plan has seen around 3,500 new accounts. But was it enough for a Lincoln win? That's next in sports.
Tennessee with some drama of its own against, no, you're not reading that wrong, the Minutemen of Massachusetts. 0 points in the first quarter, 0 points in the fourth quarter. Basically the opposite of the A&M game, but the Vols survived nonetheless.
Now here's a look at what's coming up tonight on KOMU 8 News at 10. Multiple arrests were made this afternoon inside a St. Louis mall when protesters marched in response to last week's Jackson Stockley court ruling.
We have the video, and that's coming up at 10.
So that's great news. We're looking at those cooler temperatures. I'm excited. Fall's here.
About time.
Thanks for watching.
President Trump has entered the debate over national anthem protests at NFL games. Good evening, I'm Brianna Stubler.
And I'm Emily McCarter. Thanks for joining us here.
Police arrested 22 people today at the St. Louis Galleria. They were protesting the recent acquittal of a former police officer, Jason Stockley, and the shooting death of Anthony Lamar Smith. More than 200 people protested. The protest began peacefully, but police eventually cleared the mall after some people became disorderly and some trash cans were overturned. Tonight, the protests moved to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Clayton and then to the doors of the Target store in Brentwood. This is a tweet from a reporter at our sister station in St. Louis. The protest has ended for the night. Demonstrators say they will resume tomorrow. Last week in St. Louis, an undercover police officer and Air Force lieutenant were among the 120 people forcibly arrested. The arrest last Sunday came about 2 hours after vandals broke windows and threw items at police. Officers used a tactic called kettling to box in demonstrators. Governor Eric Greitens congratulated the officers on their tactics. Some of those caught were not protesting and say police use unnecessary force. Missouri State Treasurer wants to increase awareness when it comes to saving for college. Missouri has one of the lowest enrollment rates at 2.5% when it comes to the 529 College Savings Plan. Missouri's most 529 College Savings Plan lets parents save for their child's education while also saving money on taxes. State Treasurer Eric Schmidt says he's been visiting schools to teach about college savings as part of his initiative. He says Missouri has one of the more generous deductions in the country.
Meaning, if you put $1,000 away or $2,000 away over the course of a year, whatever that amount is, up to $16,000 for a married couple or $8,000 individually, you can deduct those contributions from your gross income and your taxes, your state taxes.
Since he took office in January, Missouri's most 529 College Savings Plan has seen around 3,500 new accounts. Fall may have just begun, but it was still hot and humid today. Let's check in with Matt to see when we can expect some cooler temperatures. In Puerto Rico, officials are rushing to evacuate tens of thousands of people downstream of a falling dam. It's all in the aftermath of devastating Hurricane Maria. Authorities launched an evacuation yesterday of 70,000 people. They sent buses to help move people away from the major zone. The National Weather Service called it an extremely dangerous situation. The Weather Service says lives are in danger and called for immediate evacuations. Up in the air, coming up next, we'll tell you how veterans had the chance to be there this weekend. You're taking a live look over downtown Columbia on this Saturday evening. This is KOMU 8 News at 9 on the CW. Coverage you can count on.
In the lower 70s, and even on Saturday, a high temperature of 69 degrees, much more comfortable, much lower temperatures, and much more seasonal for this time of year.
I definitely like the sound of that. Thanks, Matt. Now, still to come, preserving tigers.
We'll tell you how MU is partnering with other universities with something that they all have in common. Taking flight, that's the opportunity some veterans had at this weekend's Lake of the Ozarks Air Show. The goal of the air show, now in its 7th year, is to salute veterans. It featured numerous static displays and acts from the air. Some veterans from World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam War were those invited to fly.
So we take a number of veterans. In fact, one of the flights was a flyover at the Camdenton High School football game last night.
The air show will return next year, but from then on, it will occur every other year. What's the one thing Mizzou, Clemson, Auburn, and LSU have in common? Their mascots. Tonight, the 4 SEC schools announced their partnership in the U.S. Tiger University Consortium. The group will support the mission of doubling the wild tiger population by 2022. The idea for a collaborative effort came from student organizations, the first starting here at MU in 1999. Today in Boston, a group tried to establish a world record for the largest human peace sign. A nonprofit that helps families in Massachusetts organize the attempt. The group says it took on the challenge to remind others they're bringing peace of mind to 6,000 families working with homeless and foster children. While they didn't break the record, the organization says it was still a win for everyone.
Now, here's a look at what we're following for KOMU 8 News at 10. The U.S. is showing off its military forces near North Korea after harsh words exchanged this week.
An update on the tension between the two nations. Join us for KOMU 8 News at 10.
And into next weekend, 60s return to the forecast. All we needed was Mizzou football to have an away game to get cooler weather.
There you go.
Now we know. That's what we need to do next year. We'll remember that.
That's it for us. Have a great night.